Hello and welcome back, most illustrious members of the Detail. I'm your host D, also known as MTF Doom, and today we're going to combine the best parts of a couple past videos to give some pretty good advice. I hope you enjoy. So recently we talked about lessons learned and unlearned and relearned in the Sunspot video. We talked about how this deck to my right was my single best cube rate over the course of a day deck, netting me, I forget how many ranks, quite a lot of ranks, netting me the next break point for ranks, despite me not having that much experience. And someone in Discord, friend of the channel, Grackleflint, posted a highlight in which he was playing the double bay deck and had a very advanced position, had a very good position, and he won, but he only won 2 cubes. And he's like, I don't know when to snap. And I'm often overconfident when I shouldn't be. And we started talking about this and how I do something that might be kind of unique, that I think might not occur to some people. So I'm going to pull it up right now. I actually, on my second monitor, when I am learning a deck, put together, I call it the floor and the ceiling. And I basically, so I put this plan together wherein if the third location pops up and it hasn't completely screwed me, right, in a way that it isn't also just screwing my opponent, right, I will snap if these things are true, if any of these are true, right? So for Hoog's Dudes, right here, I need a better, hang on, let me, you know what, maybe just move this. All right, you can still kind of see both. All right, good enough. So for Hoog's Dudes, turn 3 comes around, and I don't need 3 demons in hand. All right, we have 3 demons up there as the first one. That's the card that Hood generates, if you don't know. I don't need 3 demons in hand on turn 3. I think that's impossible, barring some fairly extenuating circumstances. But if I have like a demon or 2 demons and a way to bounce the Hood again and replay him, such that I will have 3 demons in total by turn 6, I'll snap. If it's turn 4 and I can tell that I'll be able to get Angela or Bishop to over 9 power, but do so on turn 6 so that my opponent will have priority, so they can't Shang my Bishop or my Angela, but I can get that power out of one of those 2 cards, I'll snap. If I've done or can do 6 disruption effects, so that's Korg Iceman or Black Widow. Scorpion I put here, but I only kind of count that as half because Scorpion and Korg, I feel like I need to have done 7, we'll say, right? If it's like double Iceman or a turn 1 Korg, this one's kind of like, this one's more loose because a Korg on turn 4 isn't as good as a Korg on turn 1, but it's still okay. But yeah, if you're like doing Korg and Black Widows and Icemans, your opponent just like is so slowed down that they better be able to beat you with just like a 5-drop into a 6-drop. And it's not impossible for that to happen, but for a lot of decks, especially if you can see that they're playing out like mid-cost cards and they're just gonna like try to curve out, it's like, well, if you hit their 4 and make it a 5, and now like on 5 they're doing like White Queen and that's their turn 5, and what they get from you on turn 5 is at best a 3-drop, but probably just a 2-drop, then you're in a pretty good spot. So you'll snap on that. And then the last one, you can see it, if I have discounted demons and either an Angela or Bishop, the Angela that has already been buffed or Bishop that has already been buffed, and they're discounted, right? So Angela's a 1 cost or Bishop's a 2 cost. And I have a follow-up free demon off of beast. I got Bast on my mind. I can't wait to buy Bast. A free demon off of beast. If any of these are true, any one of them are true, I will snap on 3. And like, it doesn't matter, basically it doesn't matter how good my opponent is doing, because, that's what my deck, if it's like a Shuri list, like I also record my matches. So I know Shuri and Sandman are bad matchups. So if I suss out that it's that, I might not snap. But other than that, if it's just any random, mid-tier deck of people playing the stuff they want to play, which is like a fairly common occurrence, if it's Thanos, whatever, I'm pretty happy with all of that. And I'll snap on 3 using these. Same is true for the retreats. So if we get to turn 3 and I haven't been able to use Beast, Falcon, I can move that over again. I haven't been able to use, sorry, apologies. I haven't been able to use Beast, Falcon, or Carnage, or I don't have them in my hand, right? By turn 4, I will usually retreat. This is you're only going to retreat if your opponent snaps. Otherwise, you free roll it because things can turn around. But if your opponent snaps and you're in for 2 cubes and any of these are true, you don't stay in, right? No Bishop or Angela by 3, because those are your win cons. Like, you can, flooding out with demons is your other win con, which is why if you get triple demon, you'll snap. But not having either of these, Angela or Bishop, by turn 3, so that you can start the ball rolling on making them bigger. I'll usually retreat if they snap, or I will just stay in. If the other thing is both of these work in tandem. So if they snap and I have triple demon but not Angela or Bishop, I'll usually stay in, but I won't snap back. But if I don't have triple demon or Angela or Bishop, right? So if my snap floor has not been hit, but their snap ceiling has, right? That's how we call it. Then you retreat. I hope this is making sense. Oh no, I thought this was going to be a lot simpler until I tried to actually explain it in human English. And then it became much more complicated. It's like the old meme flowchart of like how to play Feral Druid, and it's just like a jumble of like it's just a scribble. Like, cast everything, do all of it at the same time, have 6 hands. All right, and then the final one for this deck is, like we said, Sandman is a really bad matchup. Sometimes I will stay for Shuri, because if they don't have Shuri into Skull into Taskmaster, right? Because they have to have it in that order. You can still win. You can put enough power out that you can beat one big thing, right? Or you don't have to fight it. But in general, like, you can't beat 2 and you don't have the answers for 2. And so you know, if they snap, they're probably saying they have it and get out. But Sandman, you can't beat even just a Sandman, generally. Like, as soon as they play Sandman, it turns off your Falcon and your Beast functionally, because now that's all you can play, and then you lose all your other cards because they come back to your hand. It's abysmal. Retreat basically immediately, like, unless their hand has gone completely sideways, you're not going to win that one. So I highly suggest doing this for any deck that you're new to until you become more familiar. And that's the thing, right? Is like, it's almost so quaint to like write it out like it's homework, you know, or like you feel like you want to get good at it implicitly, but it's like, no, you have to practice. You have to practice everything. No, you don't get good at doing anything unless you practice, and this is part of that practice. you know, the deck specifically that I mentioned Grak was using was this deck, and he had gone Moon Girl on 4 into it, copying a She-Hulk into Magic on 5. And you always get at least Chavez as a 6-drop. He happened to not have Infinite, right? But his turn 7 was double She-Hulk Chavez. He had also fucked up and played I'm calling you out. Don't play Titania before turn 6. Titania is not, or before turn 7, sorry. Titania is not really a 1 cost. She's like Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man's a 4/3, but really he's a 5/3 that lets you play a 1-drop next to him. Titania is the same way. She's not a 1/5. She's a 7/5 that lets you play 6 other power next to her. Yeah, so you know, and he was like, that's where this whole thing came from. Well, you know, had I made this video earlier so that he had this advice available, he probably would have snapped and maybe just got the same 2 cubes, right? Like maybe he snaps when he magics and his opponent goes, oh shit. Yeah, I'm not going to win, am I? And then they retreat after the magic and he wins the same 2 cubes, but, you know, without having to risk it on turn 7, the opponent shanging or whatever. So yeah, I really highly value this process of coming up with the floor and the ceiling and following it rigidly for at least a day or two until you start to, you know, get into this habit of like, oh, you know, and add to it as you start winning games, add to it and be like, you know, I won that game using a method that I didn't have down as a snap on this method, but it seems like I keep winning when that happens, right? Like, oh, you know, I moon girled because I had magic for 5, so I was going to do that, but the only thing I hit with moon girl was like Titania and Sunspot. But then on 6, I just dropped 2 Sunspots, and then on 7, I dropped just the 2 Titanias and let the Sunspots soak more, and I ended up winning. Well, yeah, that's fine. That's good. Like, your opponent doesn't often see that coming either. And so, like, yeah, be cool, you know, like, figure out those types of plays that have positive win percentages and start adding them, and vice versa. If there is, you know, a certain location that you're just always losing, every time it flips up, you're like, damn, I just lose. And in vice versa, for Hoog's Dudes, it was Elysium was like, if that flipped up, I was basically snapping. If I kind of had any usable hand, I was snapping on Elysium because it was during the Elysium event. It's the same with like, you know, if I'm over here, if I'm playing Gorbage, my current favorite deck, you know, and some location that drops power flips up, I'm snapping. And, you know, Jotunheim, Negative Zone, even Sewers. Sewers is like the least good one, and it's still fine because you're just like throwing rocks into the sewers, you know, like you're a poor kid. Just throwing rocks into the sewers, and then you're Luke Caging. It's like, all right, well, my rocks are unaffected by the poop. All right, we're ending it there. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this content elucidating, enlightening, or enriching, then the best way to let me know is with a subscription. When we hit 200, I'm doing a face reveal. If you join the Discord, you probably are the type of person I want to talk to anyway, and there's a bunch of people like you already on there, and they're really fun to talk to, and this video came about because of one of them. I hope that you have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow.